home of the Philadelphia Eagles,
They've got him. It's a sack.
Sixers,
Oh, baby.
and Flyers. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig.
It's good.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he's cool.
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hennig.
We got some news on Joel Embiid and the Sixers. Get to all that and more coming up during the Power Hour on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. We got a lot to get to coming up here on the hour. Of course, you guys can text into the show at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And coming up in less than 20 minutes from now, we will talk with NBA writer for The Ringer, Mirin Fader. You may remember her name because we had it on in the past about her New York Times best-selling book, Giannis, about the life and the evolution and the rise of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Well, she has written a new book about Hakeem Olajuwon, the dream, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation with her because I'm a big believer that a lot of the guys that you see today would not be in the NBA if it wasn't for Olajuwon. You know, this international movement in part was spearheaded because of Olajuwon's success, and especially guys like Giannis and Joel Embiid. So there's a bigger picture connection to why we are having this conversation coming up in less than 20 minutes with Mirin Fader here on 97.3 ESPN. Because today, the NBA finally announced the conclusion of their investigation. Now, I will preface this by saying the NBA's explanation is a little weird, okay? And the reason why it's a little weird, I go back to what Shams Charania has said about 6 hours ago on the Pat McAfee show, because McAfee asked Shams Charania what is going on with this situation, and this was his explanation for why the NBA was even investigating the 76ers and in their handling of Joel Embiid.
From the NBA perspective, there's no specific injury that the Sixers have cited. So when you think about Kawhi Leonard, when you think about Chris Middleton, Kawhi Leonard has a serious right knee inflammation issue. Chris Middleton is coming off double ankle surgeries. And so there are specific injuries that you can define. They're black and white. Here in this Joel Embiid situation, the Sixers have said there's no injury here.
No injury here. And this goes back to, remember, the injury report last week. What did it say? It said his left knee, but it didn't call it an injury. It called it maintenance. And remember, this is what Nick Nurse said last week about why Joel Embiid is not playing.
He did not re-injure himself, but the plan is we don't feel like he's quite ready, strong enough, light enough, whatever it is that they've determined that he's not quite ready to go, hasn't been in any full court scrimmages, etc. And that's the plan.
So because of that messaging, the NBA has fined the Philadelphia 76ers $100,000 for public statements, including by President of Basketball Operations Daryl Morey and Coach Nick Nurse, that were inconsistent with Joel Embiid's health status. And those statements, the NBA determined, were in violation of the NBA's rules. The league's investigation, the statement goes on to say, the investigation confirmed that Joel Embiid has been unable to play in the 76ers regular season games due to a left knee condition, and therefore his games missed have not violated the player participation policy. Now, this is fascinating because What did I tell you guys last week here on 97.3 ESPN? I told you guys last week that the situation with Embiid, if the Sixers were just upfront and honest about what is going on, that most of us would not be sitting here questioning Joel Embiid. Most of you listening on 97.3 ESPN FM and on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, you guys would not be sitting there looking at the Sixers with a side eye. You would not be questioning them as we all are right now. But the part of the reason why Joel Embiid did not play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and also tomorrow here on 97.3 ESPN, the reason why he's not playing in any of these games is because for whatever reason, he is not ready. Now, the league says that the messaging from the Sixers was not consistent with Joel Embiid's health. May I remind all of you what Daryl Morey said last week when he was on SportsCenter with Kevin Nagandi.
When you come to our games, you want to see your favorite player. You want to see Joel. You want to see Paul George. And we're going to be smart about Paul George as well. The league office has, I think, correctly put a focus on having the players available. And look, tonight Joel and Paul just can't be available. Investigation, they do that anytime a star player misses. So that is something that always happens.
So when the general manager, or the president of basketball operations, I should say, president of basketball operations, says Joel Embiid can't play. When Nick Nurse says he did not re-injure himself. When Shams Charania says Joel Embiid didn't sustain an injury. When Brian Windhorst says Joel Embiid did not sustain an injury. But the league still determines we're going to give you what is the equivalent of a slap on the wrist for $100,000 just to say that we're punishing you for something. More from Shams Charania earlier today on the Pat McAfee show.
He's actually lost 20, 25 pounds. He's in great shape. There's no re-injury. So from the NBA's perspective and people around the league, is what's the issue with Joel Embiid? He just is not in shape. He hasn't practiced or played all training camp. So it would be malpractice if the Sixers threw him out there. It would lead to injury.
And this is where the disconnect is. Because the 76ers just came out, according to the NBA statement, and according to all of us who had this conversation here on 97.3 ESPN, we've all talked about Joel Embiid and said, if they just would have come out and told us the truth from the beginning, then we wouldn't be sitting here reacting the way we are. But we are reacting this way because, for whatever reason, the 76ers choose to handle things very oddly when it comes to Joel Embiid and his health. And the NBA basically said, look, you didn't violate the player participation policy when it comes to Joel Embiid's left knee condition, they're calling it. But they said that you gave the wrong public information. And this goes back to the other problem with this whole conversation. You want Joel Embiid to be healthy because you know there's no way you can win a championship if he is not on the court and not healthy. And missing X number of games at the beginning of the season may not matter if you go on to reach the NBA Finals and he's healthy in April and May and June. But it's the handling of it that is the problem. Because look at the Eagles. The Eagles have to put out, according to league rules, an injury report every single week. In hockey, they may not tell you what the injury is, but they will at least verbalize upper body, lower body injury. He's day to day. He's week to week. In baseball, I mean, some of these guys are missing games because they basically have a hangnail. I mean, baseball players, some of these guys aren't playing for the most frivolous reasons in the world. So I'm not going to pretend like the 76ers don't have a legitimate injury or an issue with Embiid. But if you just would have handled it differently, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And that brings us full circle to why Joel Embiid is here in Philadelphia. Let me take you back in time. When Sam Hinkie was doing the process, when he was tanking, and you selected this Joel Embiid guy, and he missed 2 years dealing with foot injuries. And remember, he then sustained the meniscus injury, and he's had a back injury, and he's had a broken face, and he's also injured the other knee. The man has sustained and dealt with so many injuries that could you blame the 76ers for turning around and saying, you know, maybe it's time to handle this guy differently than we have in the past. Maybe, just maybe. And it's not Joel Embiid that's the problem. It's how the organization has handled it. And just like everyone was screaming conspiracy theories with the Markelle Fultz situation, you know, remember the thoracic outlet syndrome? That was the issue with Fultz's shoulder, and people thought it was a fake injury. The organization has had so many weird missteps along the way that has put us in this position to question this team, question this player, and question a lot of things. And I go back to, remember that Joel Embiid, he's not a guy living his life on social media. He's a bit of an introverted guy. He's a gifted athlete. He is phenomenally gifted. But because he doesn't put all of his information out there, we probably know less about him than we know about many other NBA superstars. And I think it's the lack of connection with the guy. Not that he's disconnected. He loves the fans. He does autograph signings. He jokes with them. He plays with his teammates. He's a very likable guy. But it's the big picture of who Joel Embiid is that creates an environment of mystery around him. And that mystery of who he is goes back to the original mysterious international player, Hakeem Olajuwon, who over 40 years ago came to America and changed how everybody looked at the game of basketball and recruiting. Mirin Fader is the author of the new book, Dream. New York Times bestselling author joins me next on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles host the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 9 of the 2024 season, Sunday afternoon.
And he's brought down for a loss by the team. What a play by the rookie.
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick, with pregame coverage starting at 3 p.m. and kickoff at 4 p.m. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles, 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
With GMF financing, the qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales. Need a car, truck, or SUV? Great! Get to Bennett Chevy, where you're going to get Bennett's best offers ever. You know Bennett sells new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price, right? Well, right now, Bennett Chevrolet says, how'd you like to buy your new Chevy and pay $500 below the GM supplier employee price? Yes, $500 less than our employees. Plus, you keep all the rebates. That's up to 15% off the sticker. And with available 0% financing, you'll have incredibly low payments. And if you've got an old car to trade, right now you'll get a minimum $10,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much we'll pay for good trades. And wait till you experience Bennett's non-commissioned sales team. Paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So they'll make getting all these unbelievable deals even better. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Fabrice.
So brand, my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Fabrice. La, 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 la.
So this new dose is, well, nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $200 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bet. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. Terms and conditions apply.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know to check that your seats aren't in the visitor section first, before buying tickets.
I'm so excited for this game. I can't believe you got us tickets.
Me too. Wait, are we on the wrong side?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
This is going to be a long game.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect, please? Because I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released at BlackNissan.com. It's on at Matt Black Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. World Series Game 4 tonight. Dodgers 1 win away from completing the sweep of the Yankees. LA won Game 3 Monday 4-2. New York will try to keep the series alive. Luis Heel getting the start tonight. ESPN 97.3 has coverage of the World Series starting at 8 o'clock. The Flyers are on the road in Boston where they'll take on the Bruins. Philadelphia has lost 6 of their last 7. They fell Sunday to Montreal 4-3. The Flyers will return home Thursday to take on St. Louis. Tonight's game against the Bruins can be heard on our sister station, Rock 104. Eagles and Jaguars Sunday at the Link. Philadelphia has won 3 straight at 5-2. They're a half game behind the Washington Commanders in the division, while Jacksonville has 4 of their losses on the road. They are 2-6. Eagles number 2 in the NFL in rushing. Our coverage of Eagles football on Sunday starts at 3 o'clock on 97.3 ESPN. And in the NBA, the Sixers back in action Wednesday night hosting the Detroit Pistons. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
New Jersey, this is Lieutenant Governor Tahisha Wade. Vote in person on Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th, or early in person starting Saturday, October 26th, or vote by mail. Details at vote.nj.gov.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. The warm-up is about to kick into high gear. Temperatures tomorrow and Thursday will run about 15 degrees above normal for late October. A few clouds tonight, and it'll be comfortable. Low temperature 54. Tomorrow, sun and clouds, high 78. 79 for Halloween Thursday, warmest day of the week. Partly sunny and dry. A quick shower expected Friday morning. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
At Complete Care Health Network, their new men's and family health professionals facility in Williamstown offers preventative health screenings and primary care for the entire family with a focus on men's health. Schedule your appointment at CompleteCareNJ.org.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
We'll check back in the text board a little bit later in the hour. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. But right now, joining me as promised, she is best-selling author Mirin Fader of The Ringer. Her latest book is about Hakeem Olajuwon Dream, and she joins me here on 97.3 ESPN. Mirin, welcome back in. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you jumping on. And, when you and I talked previously about your last book, Giannis, about how, where he came from had a lot to do with who he is now, right? You look at Hakeem Olajuwon, and in many ways, he is the precursor for Giannis. We've talked a lot about Joel Embiid throughout the day today. So for you, when you started researching about Hakeem Olajuwon, was there a trigger? Was there something that really launched you into writing this book? Because I find that writing about someone like him, he is almost like this mysterious figure.
Yeah, and I think that's what kind of excited me is that there just really wasn't a lot out there on him. I think to your point about, being the precursor, that's exactly the word in my head I used was prequel. And I was like, the first book was really about not just Giannis, but about this current world we have of international superstars, specifically African superstars who are dominating. And so I thought, who paved the way for him, for Joel Embiid, for all these other international players? And I was just like, Hakeem, he's the pioneer that is so unheralded. So it would be a really compelling subject to try to figure out what it was like to be the first true international superstar.
One of the comments that we have a lot about Joel Embiid in this area for a lot of Sixer fans is about how the fact that he's not living his life on social media. He's not someone who, is not putting every single thing in his life. He's a bit introverted. It was actually a big deal when he stopped his car last April and gave fans autographs. All these kids are running up to him, and it was like a big deal for a lot of people. And I see a little bit of that when I've been starting to read in the book about Olajuwon, the fact that he was shy as a kid, that he was not someone who was necessarily looking for attention.
Absolutely. And, you look at him, you look at Joel Embiid, they were both accidental superstars, right? Like these were people that, nobody thought, oh, yeah, you're going to go play in college in America and then become a superstar, let alone like Hakeem, a Hall of Famer. It happened by accident. They were both late bloomers. So I think part of this, very introspective, quiet, private personality is part of that. They didn't grow up in the same social media culture where, kids, when they get an offer at age 15, they post it on Twitter, thank you so much to this college for giving me an offer. Like that world just didn't exist to them.
When you think about that, I mean, how much is that? I mean, not to completely go off the side tangent, but how much is that maybe an advantage for some of these guys? Guys that maybe if they had those elements impacting them, like what is Hakeem Olajuwon the player he is? Is Giannis Antetokounmpo the player he is if they grew up in that environment?
Yeah, I think it is totally an advantage. I don't think they'd be the same players. I really don't. I think that, there's something to be said for developing in silence and not having to develop with 1,000 million eyes on you. You get to make mistakes. And that's what they did. Giannis was not a natural. He was not somebody that immediately dominated. Hakeem was not a natural. He was great defensively, but it took him years to develop, the drop step, the arsenal. Same with Joel. I mean, he showed promise and glimmers, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, that's the next coming of the superstar. And so I think, this work hard, put your head down, don't focus on what other people are saying probably helped all three of them a lot.
We're talking with senior staff writer for The Ringer, Mirin Fader. She has the new book, Dream, The Life and Legacy of Hakeem Olajuwon. It's that time of year you want to start buying books for the holidays, maybe your new reading recommendations for the new year. Everyone, you know how people are. Everyone's going, I promise I'm going to read this many books, and you might only read 3 of the 10. Well,
that's right.
Hopefully this is one of the 3 of the 10, because, one of the takeaways I have from the book so far is, and I'll admit I've only about 3 chapters in personally, but for me, I can't get away from the fact of how grounded Hakeem Olajuwon is. And in a world today that is so hyper about having things, right? Your cars, your status symbol, your followers, that Olajuwon growing up was not someone who attached himself to those things.
Exactly. I mean, in his household, education was everything. In fact, his parents discouraged him from playing sports. It was seen as a distraction. It was seen as being, quote, unserious. So, I think there's something to be said for that focus and also just spending time with your family. Back then, obviously, social media didn't exist, internet didn't exist, and you just went outside and played in the street with your friends. Like, I know it seems like a foregone era, but really, like, he was so grounded. And I think it's because the upbringing that he has. And, you had mentioned Giannis as well. His family comes from the same Nigerian tribe, was raised with the same values that Hakeem was, of discipline, being a good family member, being a good person, hard work. So I think all those values really helped both of them.
What's also interesting, you mentioned the bygone era, and part of that bygone era is also family, because
right.
It's like, for example, I grew up in an Italian household, so it's like, family is very important, and you listen to your parents, you don't disregard them, right?
Right.
And so in today's world, some of that has been kind of flipped on its head, but you're seeing with international players, like with Hakeem Olajuwon, they don't come from the trappings of, for lack of a better term, Americanized culture, right? So it's like when I'm reading about Olajuwon's upbringing, he didn't have want for things, right? He didn't grow up in abject poverty like Giannis did for part of his life, but he was still someone who grew up grounded. His parents didn't let him look at the things that he had as, I'm better than other people.
Right. Yeah. Humility is definitely a cornerstone value. I think also, the joy of reporting on these international players and talking about, their stories is that they don't come from this, self-made American dream type of mindset that kids here do. There's no I was in the gym. I did this. I made myself this. I pulled myself up by the bootstraps. People like Giannis, like Hakeem, like Joel, they learn from a young age that nobody succeeds without community. And mentors play a huge role, whether it's in coaching, in the actual games, or even, like you pointed out, family. It's just a total opposite mindset than the kids coming up in today's scene are thinking of.
Talking with Mirin Fader, author of the new book, Dream, The Life and Legacy of Hakeem Olajuwon, on sale now. Amazon, wherever you get your books. Maybe you go to a bookstore. Maybe you get off the couch and actually go outside the house and
we
off
love
the
that.
internet, for a few seconds. I say that as also the same person who drives like 45 minutes to work and listens to all my books. So, I mean,
I'm not mad at that at all. Get it in.
It's certainly better than listening to other things, right?
That's right. Look at you. I mean, you inspiring. Okay.
I have my moments. So, but enough about me. Let's get back to Olajuwon, because the other thing I took from reading so far is his faith. And I think that's a big component. It's a little bit polarizing in today's society, right? But the analogy I made for me was Joel Embiid, and the fact that in our area, Joel Embiid changed when his son was born.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed. It took him to a different place. And what I've seen so far from Olajuwon and my own memories of him as well, playing in the 90s for the Rockets, was you could argue him being grounded in his faith made him the better player, made him the better person. And I see the same with Joel, with his son. The moment he had a child, that's when Joel started getting in shape. That's when Joel won an MVP. And for sometimes these guys, they need that element that kind of reestablishes them. And it seems like for Olajuwon, his rededication to his faith was that.
It really was. People don't really know that, he was raised Muslim and then pretty much abandoned his faith for the next 10 years. And you can see prior to the reclamation that you're talking about, he was getting ejected from games. He was punching people. It was awful. The Rockets were terrible. He was getting into trouble off the floor. There was clearly issues and a focus issue and discipline, all these things. But then when he decides to return to his faith because, he's feeling like, okay, well, I'm materially successful, right? I make a lot of money. People think I'm this amazing player, but I don't feel spiritually anchored. when he finally does have that anchor again, the game just blossoms. He's not getting ejected anymore. He's not an issue in the locker room. He's a leader. His teammates want to play for him. There's just much more open lines of communication. And I just don't think those two Rockets titles, 94, 95, would happen without that reclamation.
You mentioned the word anchor. I just want to hit on that really quick. For you, because you've spoken to numerous athletes over the years, for you, is that probably the biggest thing that's missing for certain guys versus others, that they don't have that anchor?
It is. It is. I'm really glad you asked that, because sometimes I'll leave an interview and I'll say, okay, this person was nice. Clearly they're dedicated. They want to be great at basketball, but there's just something missing. There's just something that's not connected there. And it doesn't have to be religion, but I think that there is, some people have this anchor and some people don't. And I think maybe it goes back to what you were saying a moment ago about just growing up, having children, maturing. The anchor takes time to have. And I think Joel has it now, but it's hard to have it until you have it, if that makes sense. Like, some of this is just a natural progression of life.
It really is a natural progression, because I think for a lot of us, right? If you always see those like memes where it's like, if you told you 10 years ago you'd be where you are now, and it's like, you would be, so happy. But there's a truth to it, because there's a natural progression through life, right? And
right,
it's interesting when you almost feel bad for these athletes, because they're like in this fishbowl. They're almost like like zoo animals. Like, we're all coming to see them and their lives and their careers play out in real time.
Yeah, and think about it. Like, these are 20 to 30-year-olds, right? And sometimes younger, because the NBA wants these guys to be at their youngest and most developed, which is an oxymoron and not possible. And so I think, somebody at 23, 24 is going to be a whole lot different than 28 and 29. And sometimes as spectators, we forget, hey, these are young men. These could be your sons. They are going through their own journey, trying to find that anchor, trying to find whatever that is. Just like everyone else, it's just they're seen as much older and more adult-like because they have to fail in public. I mean, that's why I think no matter how you feel about how a player does, or if they play badly, they make a lot of money, whatever, they really are just people. And that is the joy, I think, in this reporting, is just kind of getting to that human universal story here.
So part of your reporting, Mirin Fader, New York Times bestselling author and senior staff writer for The Ringer, when you were doing this research about Hakeem Olajuwon, was there a story, was there a topic that kind of maybe really grabbed your attention or surprised you?
Yes. So, some East Coast listeners may remember there's one story that people think they know about Hakeem, which is somehow he gets discovered in Africa by this random coach who is from North Carolina, yet happens to be in Africa. Never explained how that happens. That coach, Chris Pond, is like, Hakeem, wow, you're amazing. You can come to America. Boom, we're at the embassy. Boom, the next day we've got visits set up for you. St. John's being the most prominent one, as well as Georgia, Providence, University of Houston, among many others. Okay, they land at JFK in New York. Hakeem is like, oh, I'm so cold. There's no way I can play in New York. I'm not going to go to St. John's. I'm going to go to the University of Houston. Boom, history is made. Phi Slamma Jamma, iconic team, 2-time NBA champion. It's not a true story. This book, unfortunately, dispels that myth and really shows that actually St. John's coaches did not recruit Olajuwon. They had no communication with this recruiter man, Chris Pond. Neither did the other schools. I believe that this recruiter was trying to embellish his standing a bit and say, hey, I got visits for you all over here, there. But I think the plan was to go to Houston all along. So that took me months to unpack and unspool. So sorry if anyone loved that story.
Yeah, you just ruined the entire Disney movie.
I know. I mean, he is the dream, right? There's a reason why this name sticks.
You ruined the dream.
I ruined the dream. I ruined the dream.
It's so funny you tell that story, though, because I was with Vince Papale on Sunday, the man for the movie Invincible, and he was explaining to us on the radio about how the whole story about how him and his wife met is completely fake in the movie.
See?
So, it's like, and like when you actually hear the true story about him and his wife, it actually is better than the movie's like fabrication. But if you've watched the movie more than once, in your mind, you think that's the way it is, right?
Right.
And it's just such a funny thing. It's like, oh, this is Olajuwon's story. And then here comes Mirin Fader be like, well, not so fast.
Right. I mean, I just couldn't believe that like the story just hung on for decades, right? This story was not invented like 10 years ago. We're talking like 40 years ago.
Right.
So it just shows you, especially in our field, the way that stories it's like urban legend at this point.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the interesting part about Olajuwon is there is a little urban legend with him because it is the dream shake, right? It is the fact that the guy's numbers are so astronomical. Like if you take his stats of blocks and rebounds and you put it up against other guys and you're like, wait a minute, he did what? And I remember I was watching Shaquille O'Neal the other day and he was like, hey, the only guy I put ahead of me that I played against was Olajuwon because I could never beat him. And if anybody watches Shaq on TNT knows he does not hand out compliments lightly.
No. Shaq was one of my favorite interviews of this book. He was like, Hakeem was the only person that I could not intimidate. And he was so honest, because they faced off in that 95 finals versus the Magic and Rockets. And he was like, I admired Hakeem so much. I think I showed him a little too much respect in that series. They got swept. So, but all in all, Shaq, oh my God, what a quote. The way he speaks about Olajuwon and the way many former players I interviewed speak about him, it's almost in these like reverent tones. The respect is just eminent. I interviewed 266 people for this book. Not one person had something negative to say. It's very just in awe of the person and player that he was.
So what you're saying is the only person who interviews more people for a book than you is Jeff Pearlman. That's what I just heard.
That's exactly right. And we had a little friendly tally, and he lapped me a couple times, but I got some improvement to do on that score.
I've interviewed Jeff a couple times, and I always like because one of the crazy things I learned about Jeff Pearlman is he actually used to vacation at one point in South Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because I was talking to him one time and I was like, because I think he interviewed, I think it was like 3,000 people for the USFL book. And I said, so how do you fit all those in 365 days? And he basically just said, don't ask. Like,
You just lose your entire mental health and your sleep and everything else. Yeah, it just all goes out the window.
While I do have you, I did want to ask you because I mentioned about Joel Embiid. And I want to get your take on him because there are, as you mentioned, similarities and connective tissue between him and Olajuwon. And for a lot of people in our area, people love Embiid. They just don't like the Sixers' handling of Embiid. And like today, the league finds the Sixers and it's like a slap on the wrist and blah, blah, blah. But what is your take on Joel Embiid? Because he is someone that like no one dislikes, but it's just like every fan is just holding their fist tightly every time he falls on the ground.
I know it's very hard. And if I say something like, I wish I could see him in another environment, obviously pitchforks coming at me. But I really would like to see him in another environment. It's interesting. I hope your listeners will go back and read Chris Ballard's story in Sports Illustrated from a year or two ago. And it was about the lost art of post play. And in it, actually, Hakeem talks about Embiid and he's a little critical of him. But I actually thought it was a really good assessment of what Embiid needs to do to take it to the next level. And so I see him as, I know I'm not going to say in process, but I do see him as en route. I think he has the tools, the mental fortitude for it, the focus. I was surprised by the back-to-backs thing just because working on this book, I literally interviewed, Detroit bad boys and people that would literally beat the crap out of you. And this idea of no back-to-backs is so absurd to, the people I interviewed. So I just think everything is there. It's just waiting to be executed for him.
Half the Sixer fans love that you brought up the process and the other half hate it.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all.
Now
I said en route. I said en route.
En route. That's true.
There you go.
You branch though into that, that dangerous divide.
We'll thread a needle there.
But before I let you go, again, the book is Dream, the Life and Legacy of Hakeem Olajuwon, in bookstores now or on Amazon.com or wherever you get your books. Or if you're like me, you just download it on your Audible app. For you, what was the takeaway from writing this book and now talking about the book that you wish everyone listening would know?
Everything you see in today's modern NBA goes back to Hakeem. Whether it's this idea of positionless basketball and the way that, the center has evolved to be mobile and fluid and creative, that's Hakeem. The international takeover of the game, the way that African superstars are dominating, that all goes back to Hakeem. He doesn't get the credit for that. People think that the globalization happened, in 92 with the Dream Team, but I really want people to take away that actually Hakeem really does deserve flowers and credit for the way that he ushered in generations of international players and honestly just changed the whole way the NBA works.
She's Mirin Fader. Of course, she writes for The Ringer, New York Times best-selling author. And again, the book is Dream, the Life and Legacy of Hakeem Olajuwon. Mirin, I appreciate you taking time to chat with me today and hope to talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Josh Hennig here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. Dan from EHT, get to you, and Jeff from Ocean City. All your guys texted more coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Tuesday night.
The World Series continues on ESPN Radio.
It's over for the third straight game in this World Series.
The Dodgers make it 3 straight and push the Yankees to the brink of elimination. Game 4, the Dodgers and Yankees. Coverage begins tonight at 7 Eastern, with first pitch at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to the World Series Game 4 tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m.
Brought to you by Shore Physicians Group. Be well connected. Visit shorephysiciansgroup.com.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Black Nissan. New 2024 Nissan Rogue S. 0 down at 2.9% financing for 60 months. But when they're gone, they're gone. Have a trade? Bring it to AJ the Trade Man. He's paying cash, lots of cash, up to 120% more cash than KBB fair market value. Then drive home in your new 2025 Matt Blatt Nissan Kicks. Just $299 per month lease with 0 security deposits. And every new Matt Blatt Nissan comes with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Have a job clearing for $50 per week at Matt Blatt Nissan? You're virtually approved today with 0 down and low 2.9% financing. MattBlattNissan.com. Unapproved Tier 1 credit for new Matt. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and 589.50. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. 24 months, 10,000 miles, $27.99 due through NEMAC. PIN RC 738396. MSRP 31,115. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SUPPORT, or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code SUPPORT.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You can be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Is your home ready for the season? Worried about rooms that just won't stay warm this winter? Call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today to ask about a new energy-efficient system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. With generous financing options through South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric, plus additional savings through rebates from your local utility companies. Upgrading your system could also help lower your utility bills. Call Jenkins today or visit jenkinsandsons.com.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Did you know millions of people are getting prescription medications for weight loss, sexual health, better sleep, and more, all online? RexMD.com has made getting these medications fast and easy, with free delivery of the most popular medications right to your door. Just fill out a brief survey, and if appropriate, we'll prescribe and ship clinically proven options to help with issues like weight loss.
I've lost 45 pounds so far. It's nice to get back into clothes that I haven't been able to wear for a long time.
We can also help with insomnia.
I slept through the whole night. It made me feel very well rested and ready to go for the day.
And RexMD can improve your sexual health.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is happier. I am definitely much happier.
At RexMD.com, we've made the process fast, easy, and affordable. Visit RexMD.com right now to get started. That's REXMD.com.
When you experience, go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennis Build Fence.
Hey, South Jersey homeowners. Autumn is here and fall season means fence season. Are you dreaming of a new fence or railing, but you don't want to break the bank? Our pro tip of the day, install in the fall for big savings. As your exclusive Active Yards dealer, you can choose from our inventory of privacy, decorative, security, and pull fence solutions by Active Yards. No matter what your needs are, we have a high-quality, maintenance-free Active Yard solution that is right for you. Don't miss our Install in the Fall savings coupled with our no-money-down, interest-free financing so together we can make your dream a reality. So give us a call today or go online to DennisvilleFence.com to request a free estimate and be sure to mention that you want to install in the fall.
Go with experience, go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennis Build Fence. 1-800-499-FENCE.
Visit DennisvilleFence.com.
Halloween's coming alive at Target. Jackie and Gordy, the Jack-O-Lanterns, here with last chance Halloween deals. Looks like Mom's got the old pumpkin bucket stocked with the best candy, starting at $5.99.
Lucky pumpkin bucket. Oh, there's Dad party planning with a same-day delivery order.
Yes, it's a BOGO 50% off pizza party with Target Circle. Plus, buy 3, save 40% on soda 12 packs. Get Target Circle.
Nice saves, Dad.
Make your Halloween come alive at Target. Need it last minute? Get same-day delivery with Target Circle 360. Restrictions apply.
Choosing the right candidates for any office can be difficult.
My office has lots of drama.
My office has its ups and downs.
I share my office.
But no matter what kind of office you have, one thing's for certain. If you're hiring, you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology finds the most qualified candidates for your roles fast, and you can invite your top choices to apply. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So, for any kind of office,
I'm really going places in my office.
My office has everything you could ever want.
count on ZipRecruiter to find the right candidates for it. Try ZipRecruiter for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Every day, Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday. They provide freshly laundered workwear delivered every week. Mats, mops, restroom and cleaning supplies. First aid and safety products to help your employees stay safe. They even test and inspect fire extinguishers and emergency lights. Cintas helps keep your business running smoothly. See what Cintas can do for you. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to the Fanatic Sportsbook. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Checking the text board now, 609-403-0973. Yes, World Series Game 4 is tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, before we get to the text board and before we get to the baseball, we'll remind you that Game Night's being brought to you by Boxing Insider Promotions, event of the fall season. It's the third event at Tropicana this year, and it's bigger than ever. Not one, not two, but three South Jersey fighters, all undefeated, on the card on November 16th at the Tropicana showroom in Atlantic City, where you can see undefeated Justin, Mr. Atlantic City Figueroa, back in action, along with heavyweight knockout artist Bruce Selden Jr. from Absegami High School, and undefeated lightweight Francisco Cisco Kid, some of the fastest hands in all of New Jersey, on display. He's undefeated from Pleasantville as well. And you can see all of them and more of the top up-and-coming fighters in boxing. November 16th, an action-packed fight card brought to you by Boxing Insider Promotions. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com for the boxing event of the fall season. All right, as promised, Dan from EHC chimes in on the text board at 609-403-0973. He has two questions. 2 points. He says, Sixers getting fined $100,000 is equivalent of $1 for the average Joe. I would say it's probably more like $10 only because of the fact that inflation. I mean, $1 doesn't even get you as much as it used to anymore. I mean, nothing at the dollar store is $1 anymore. Well, almost nothing. So I would argue it's probably more like $10, Danny HT. But I digress. I hear what you're saying. It is a slap on the wrist. And I think the reason why it's a slap on the wrist, Danny HT, is because I think the league realized that it's not that the Sixers violated the rule in terms of its literal meaning, but it violated the spirit of the rule. And whenever, if you ever talk to like a lawyer or listen to like a lawyer explain the difference between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, it's the idea that when you fine somebody, the fine is not there to literally punish them. The fine is supposed to be there to show other people that you are punishing them. There are many times in the legal sphere that punishment for crimes has less to do with the actual perpetrator. It has to do with the other people to create an environment to say, hey, we are letting all the other teams in the league know that you are being punished. Now, how much you are being punished is less significant. It's like a police officer will pull you over. So everyone else will see that he's willing to pull somebody over. But he might give you a warning, not because he's saying that you didn't commit a crime, but it's his way of saying, look, I get it. You didn't violate the spirit of the law, but you violated the literal meaning of the law. You went over the speed limit. And while I'm not going to punish you for being 8 miles an hour over the speed limit or 10 miles over, I just want everyone else around me to see I'm handing you this warning so they know I'm coming for them if they step out of line. I think that's what the NBA did here. Finally, to your question about the Eagles ceiling, can they compete with the Lions? They can't compete with the Lions because the Lions have a flaw. And their flaw is you got to get their offense off its timing. And for whatever reason, teams are let me rephrase that. Too many teams in the league are letting Jared Goff stand in the pocket and pick them apart. They're so worried about being beat over the top. They're so worried about the skill players of the Lions taking advantage of them that they are not being proactive enough in preventing them from doing what they do best. And you have to get Jared Goff off of his timing to do that. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in on the text board. He says, any thoughts on the over-under tonight for World Series Game 4? Coming up next year on 97.3 ESPN. The over-under for a game like this, it's kind of low. And so my gut instinct would to say over because I see some books have it at 3, others have it at 4. I tend to go over in this circumstance because the Dodgers have a bullpen game tonight, and typically bullpen games lend themselves to be higher scoring. So I'm thinking that the final score is more likely to be over that number. Now, some of you might say 8.5 is kind of a high number. Well, 5 plus 4 equals 9. Math, folks. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night, World Series Game 4, next on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Maxey for 3, outside left, bullseye. He puts it in, a crossover dribble on McBride, and he pours in a triple.
It's Sixers Pistons tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.